Oh, no. See how far down it goes? Oh, okay.
It is definitely not supposed to be that.
No. Context clues. We're getting the white van, the white 67, in the shop, tearing it down, getting it all done. We're gonna do it this time. What's step one? What's step one just to get it in?
Step one, we got to get it on the lift. We got to we're pulling the motor back out again. We got to, of course, get the torque converter in the transmission to put everything back up in it. It's just one of those processes. This is about the third or fourth time we've done this. It's just a lot of taking out, putting back in, redoing, reconfiguring, and refiguring out, because this is all one-off new stuff to us. So, but we're planning on getting it in here and getting on the home stretch and try to get this thing knocked out and move on to the next one.
So the plan is undo all our leaf spring bolts, undo that steering, which was only one bolt. These bolts here, cross member bolts, gonna roll. Well, first we're gonna roll this from out under it with the leaf spring still attached to the axle. Get a table from over there, motor, transmission, drop it all at the same time. So you can see we still need to get the torque converter in there. And yeah, we're gonna go from there on it. Words of staying on the job and keep on getting her done, yeah.
Yeah,
that's what my words were. That's his word. Is there any knower of all wisdom that you're going to display for us here today, or no?
Just gonna roll and get it done. We have decided.
So there you go.
We have decided we're going to completely rewire the whole van because looking at the wiring, it's so.
Yeah. I mean, it's from 1967.
Yeah, and it's right there. It would probably be okay, but
You put a new motor and all this in, you might as well. It's so simple, you might as well put it on.
We're going to bite the bullet and just rewire the whole van from front to back.
Think we'll go with a painless kind of one size fits all, or are you going to kind of do some research?
It'll be a one size fits all, but those Speedway motors, wiring harnesses that we put. I've done one of them completely on the 2 Wagoneers, I believe, a CJ, and then the Papa T's 41 GMC. That's what we use, and it's a good Speedway's harnesses are good quality. Everything is marked. It's I don't know. I'm not saying anything bad about Painless. They're a big company, but I think they're kind of overrated sometimes. But
heard that.
Nothing wrong with this.
You got the tools for the job.
All right, let's do this thing.
All right.
Let's do it.
Need me to move the bike again?
Go up just a hair with the lift, bro.
All right.
Oh man, you got a little bit more. A little bit more. And that's why. Slide yours on over.
Wait a minute. Oh my gosh, you're kidding.
How much more we got up there?
Just barely. Little more. Oh, I guess about all we can go.
Right, now we're hitting the valve cover.
Can you slide it right now?
Woo, got it.
Come here. Bring camera. Bring camera. I want you to look at this. Push it back.
Oh,
Look at that.
Man.
It's scraped right there. Ever so slight. It scratched the dust off. That was it.
Wow.
That's a tight fit.
Y'all just saw us get this motor out with the tractor, and what we're doing, this is a motor that was in a conversion van that we bought Actually, it's the one that we cut the front suspension, cut the front subframe out to make our jig. But this motor was a good motor. It was a remanufactured motor, and believe it or not, it didn't really have many miles on it, but the cam broke in it. And we were saving it just for this to get all the accessories off of it. It's got a serpentine pulley set up on the front of it, and that's what we're going to put on the van that's going into the 67, which all this is still in great shape. We just got to clean it up and paint it, and we'll get the flex plate off of the back. It's was a new flex plate to put on the motor, so that's what we got this motor out for. We'll get all these accessories off and the harmonic balancer and stuff, and it'll go on the motor going into 67. So it's always a good idea, even though the motor's bad, save your stuff, because all these accessories and stuff like this, you know, it doesn't make sense to go buy it. You can buy all that high dollar new stuff, but this stuff is just as good. If we hadn't saved it, we would have had to dig around in the junkyard somewhere to get all the stuff. So that's what we're doing. So we'll be getting this stuff off of this motor here in the next little bit.
Somebody better be dying. And turn the fans off.
We got to hear what you're saying real quick.
Yeah.
Real quick.
Real quick. We'll make it quick.
Go ahead and make that.
Yeah, we are, Ivan has been started putting the wiring harness in the Jeep, and the harness that we got from Speedway, they're awesome harnesses, but they're a universal harness. And on the factory Jeep plug, the fuse box is the same up under the dash, but this big plug goes through this hole here. So we're trying to figure out a way that we can run these wires through this to make it look somewhat factory instead of having a big hole or putting a big grommet on there. So that's what we're doing on the harness. We got out here Seth used by cleaning up the parts for the engine stuff for the 67 van. He'll be cleaning these up and getting them all detailed so we can get the engine, get it all bolted on the engine in the 67, get it back up in the van, paint all this stuff, and get it. This is just this is the kind of stuff that we don't like doing, but it's got to be done, and it's the time-consuming stuff when it comes to doing a project like this. This is what takes so much time and money, is because time is money. So you spend a lot of time doing little stuff like this, and this is not what we like doing. We like cutting, welding, and fabricating, but it all goes hand in hand. We're putting the stuff on the motor, getting it ready. This will be the final time we put this motor, transmission and all, back up into the 67. We have had it in and out, I don't know, several times. So,
Yeah.
But this is going in for the final time. Putting the flex plate on it, and I don't know if you, just so you know, if you ever put a flex plate on, most of the time it'll have engine side on it. But these pads that your torque converter bolts on, they're always, make sure the raised side goes to the outside. And I always put Loctite on your bolts going in, because if your flywheel bolts come out and the flywheel gets loose, it will sound like there's a rod knocking in the motor. So you don't ever want your flywheel bolts to back out. But anyway, this is it, going in for the final time.
Okay, it's getting close to closing time here at the swim shop, but I guess you could say we're on a bit of a side quest before we completely close up. As y'all know, we use the whole front assembly to go on the 67, well, on its small block, and that'll be a serpentine setup. But I'm not sure if I'm going to swap the motor in my van from out of my truck. I don't know if I'll LS it. I don't know if I'll find a completely other, maybe another 350 or a 305. I don't know. But my motor does have a little bit of a tick. We think it's maybe because valves aren't seating, because it does smoke a bit when you do first crank it up. With all that being said, this intake is a good intake, so we got to get that off and save it for another motor anyway. But while we were in here, we're going to get these heads off. The only problem is the camshaft completely exploded in this engine. That's one thing we know for sure.
It broke.
It broke, but I'm going to say it exploded because it ain't no telling what all. It could be disastrous under here, and it could be okay. But if these heads are okay, we might slap them on my motor. If not,
yeah, and
I'll figure something else out. But what do you think?
Well, the reason we say the cam broke, we know the cam broke because when it was in the van,
You might have to step over here. You might actually be out of frame. I'm sorry.
it was in the van, you could spin it over, but when you had the distributor cap off, the rotor button wasn't spinning. So we know that the cam was not spinning the distributor. So, you know, where it broke, how it broke, when it broke, it could have been some valves open and the pistons came up and bent some stuff. So we don't know. We'll check it out. But Seth's motor in his van, if y'all don't know this, it's a 305, but it is a good running little 305. It's got a cam in it.
I mean, we talked several times about
yeah,
swapping it and making it into a nice daily driver, a nice road trip van, but the darn thing's already been to Tennessee I don't know how many times. It's been to Florida twice with that motor. It's been all up and down the East Coast to the beach.
Oh, and it was when it was the boogie van, two-wheel drive, he was getting almost 20 miles per gallon with it, and it still gets like 16 the way it is now. So
the motor in my truck's running good. That's a good setup. I don't want to mess that up. It's a good setup for the van. I know everybody probably expects that thing to have a big block in it with the way it looks, but I'm happy with the 305, and it's got a nice little cam in it. If I can keep it alive and keep it going, that's what I'm going to stick with, and hopefully through these heads, that will help me stick with that 305 a little bit longer. Hopefully this thing will pop off. Is that all of them? It looks like all of them. Sounds like it was funky. Oh yeah. Oh gosh. What's she looking like?
That one right there.
That's a little.
So is that one. I would say back there's where the issue with the cam is.
Right.
All of them still on the load, but
Like we said, this was a reman motor, so it ain't no telling how many miles is on
no,
the...
it's not supposed to have many miles.
Yeah.
Let me grab a screwdriver.
All right. Pull it? You want me to pull it? What do you want to do?
Yeah. Alright, will that work?
Oh no!
That's not supposed to be spun like that.
Here, I'll put it on the table.
Whoa.
Dang. Well,
Either a broke piston or a broke rod.
trying to get where we can look at the underside of this thing. There's
Come over here
a
and look at this piston.
there's a little bit of metal in the top of that.
Yeah, we may not be able to use those heads. As you can see, this piston is not supposed to be twisted like that.
Oh!
And it's not supposed to be above the deck of the block either, which it is.
So it definitely slapped the underside of this head. Because you can see...
Oh, whoa! I just pushed it back down in the hole.
Oh, you did?
Watch.
Oh, no!
It's not connected to anything.
I'm going to say that's no bueno.
Whoa.
But look at the head. It doesn't... I swear, I think that's metal on the surface.
It is. But the only thing is if that valve was open when that piston went crazy, it could have bent the valve, but we can check that.
All right. Let's see if I can just yank it off of there. No.
How did you do that trick? You put that thing down in there? Did you?
Ah, okay.
I could always pull a... Well, they probably didn't make them out of bolts in it.
Yeah, it did. Oh, yeah.
Wow. I would say that head right there is
I already see the problem, yeah.
Man.
Oh, yeah. Oh, man, that's a bummer.
This one's twisted too.
That is a bummer. Which I expected devastation, but...
Well, that slack was not... Oh, look, you can see the cam broke right there. You see how it's...
That's sideways.
cocked up? Yeah.
Yeah. But the underside of this head is done for.
Well... Yeah, it's probably not going to seat good there. But you only need one head. If it's the same heads.
Yeah, I guess we could check that. And because this one is the only one with the potential problem. And we can check them valves somehow.
Hold on.
I see it moving. Survey says
Now we just pull them out and see if they're bent.
10-4. Well, they were moving. All right. I guess we'll come back to that at some point in time, but...
Yeah, we got more motors we can pull heads off of.
Yeah. The intake and all that stuff, like I said, need to come off anyway, but... Oh, no. See how far down it goes?
Move.
Oh, okay.
It is definitely not supposed to do that.
No. No wonder you couldn't turn it over.
That means there's no rod connected to there somewhere. Somehow, somewhere.
You know where that rod is? Right about in there.
That rod, those two rods, checked out.
Checked out.
Yeah, that cam is. But man, it was crazy. I'm surprised it looked like that because when it was in the van, you could spin the motor. The motor would spin over. But with the distributor out, you could look down in there and you could see the cam wasn't spinning. So evidently, from here up is good, but the cam, well, you can see the cam broke right
Oh,
there.
yes.
I mean, I'm wobbling it around in there. So it probably had a cam bearing seize up in it and
Way she goes, bud.
decided to turn loose.
Way she goes.
All right, what are we doing here?
I am ready to make the transmission back up to the motor now that we got the torque converter in and everything done. And it's just on a torque converter, a lot of people know this, just make sure it clicks down in. Usually they'll click 3 times, but make sure it's seated all the way back and in. But that's what I'm gonna do. I'll put I bolt the transmission up and then I'll spin the motor over and bolt the flywheel to the flex plate to the torque converter, and then Seth's out there cleaning the transfer case now to get it painted up, and we'll put it on there. We'll seal it all up and put the transfer case on it, and once we do that, we'll be able to put it back in the van. But well, no, not at that time. I still got to put all the pulleys and everything on the front of the motor, and then once we do that, we'll put it back in the van for the final time. And I'm glad, because I'm tired of taking it in every day.
Gotcha.
Yes. and Ivan is over here.
What you
getting
doing,
the,
bud?
New wiring harness for the J10.
So many pretty colors.
Oh, yeah. Yuck.
They-
Have to go up there.
Odin is managing that, making sure he does that right. Aren't you, bud?
Well, zip tie is not working, and
Do you need an extra hand?
I'm yelling in T-minus 3 seconds if I don't.
I don't know how to help.
Hold that,
Alright.
please, Hone.
Alright, we'll move your hand. So,
Well, I can't move my hand until you move your hand. See what I'm saying?
but
That's the way of the cook. The cook and the spice. Thread the needle. The eye of the camel, brother. The eye of the camel.
there's more to that saying, you know.
Do what?
There's more to that saying. I'm pretty
Yep,
sure.
if you can thread the needle through the eye of a camel, you're smart as heck.
I don't think that's it.
I don't know.
Come down some, or the engine.
Yeah, I actually do.
We get them dowels. So we gotta get them dowels in.
Yeah. It's actually, believe it or not, easier to do this when it's in the vehicle.
We're on the right track. Need to come down some on this set.
Let me see if I can get a bolt. All right, we got the motor back up to the transmission. You can see how far the torque converter is from the flex plate. And it's going to have a little bit of space, but you don't really want that much. And sometimes it'll happen. So we'll put probably put a grade 8 washer in there to take up the space, because you don't want it to pull the converter out of the pump. I used to have to do that on my race motor. It's not really a big deal, but just a little bit of taking. You don't need that much gap. A little bit, maybe half that is okay. One pretty thick grade 8 washer in there should do the trick. So, and we got Lydia down here today. Y'all see, she's got on one of our new swim shop shirts. So y'all go in and order, and
They're comfy. They're good to work.
they are, and y'all can look and see. It's obvious that she gets her looks from her daddy. So.
We got a deal going on. If you buy 5, you get 5.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that deal.
Buy 5 shirts.
Buy 5, you get 5 shirts, and they'll come directly to your house in the mail.
That's crazy. Odin will even slobber on them for free if you want.
5 shirts. What? You get.
Odin.
Alrighty then.
What you got going on?
Anyways, all right. I fought this thing just a tad, but it's going pretty good. I got the front run out and finally through this conduit and everything, and I'm about to put the fuse box on and mount it and start branching out and doing everything else. But yeah, I fitted a little bit yesterday because I cut some zip ties and then it got all back spooled on me, so I laid it all out on the floor and just took tranquilo, patience. Now I got it.
And now you're here.
Now I'm here.
Now you're here. So,
Actually, this is what I'm talking about.
oh goodness.
But it's a nice wiring harness, and this is the one I will probably get for my car. Either that one or the one with just a lot less circuits and.
So is that's the one that you were
Yeah.
matching all the colors with this morning?
Yeah, I just basically redone what came in the box, and you didn't have to do. I just redid it because I messed it up. Not nothing caught the wiring. I just, by the time I got it up under here, and I was like, oh, yo, it was everywhere. So.
All right, what are we doing now?
We put the power steering pump, the power steering pump that was on the whole front assembly that was on that motor, the pulley was bent. So we took another power steering pump that we had, a good one, but the way it was made, and I don't know why they did it, you couldn't get the pump, the bolts out of the pump without taking the pulley off, which is ridiculous. And some pulleys will have a hole in them where you can spin it around to the right spot and get a wrench through there to take the bolts off, but this one didn't. So we had to wrench the pulley tube, and I'm gonna have to refresh my memory on how to do this. Alright, let's do this. I'll be right back. Well,
What are you doing?
So for your serpentine belt setup, this is the bracket that holds all of your accessories. And this is off of that donor motor outside, or donor engine rather, outside. And that will bolt up just like that.
Ah.
Right there. That'll, I think it gives you your steering pump, alternator, and like a small pump and AC, but we'll bolt it all on there to see what exactly we have to eliminate. I know we can have a AC pump eliminator on there, and we'll just kind of have to fiddle around with belts and see what belt size is going to fit after the elimination of a few things. But that's pretty much it, and it clears your water pump. So I can go ahead and put this on if I wanted to without the water pump, and then put the water pump on, but we'll start gathering everything, start bolting that on.
Do you have everything you need now?
Yeah, I think what I'm gonna try to do is basically clean these, threads up, but I didn't want to put any burrs or anything on this shaft, so
Right.
I can wrap this rag around it and hold it to enough to get it, work it in and out of there to get the threads cleaned up.
So just more fiddling.
Huh?
So just more fiddling.
Yeah, I mean, this is the kind of crap that just, it's part of it. I hate it, but you gotta do it. Alright, we are getting ready to roll this back under the 67. Hopefully, this is the last time we put the motor, transmission, and transfer case back up in it. This is the first time we're putting it in there with all the accessories and stuff on it, so we hope our calculations were correct and nothing hits. We're about to make it. Well, we hit a snag. We measured and measured and measured and thought everything was going to work, but the alternator is actually hitting up at the dog box. Now, I thought the AC compressor was going to be our issue, but I don't know. Let me take the
Yeah.
If you can see, the alternator is hitting there. Let me go in and show you too. It's like I said, we measured and figured. It's one of those things you don't really know till you get it up in there, but this is what we got to deal with now. Everything in there fits and clear. It's still tight. Like I said, I thought AC compressor was going to be an issue. We're perfect with our fan on the radiator, but the alternator's hitting here. And even if we cut out and brought it up to where it would clear, with the way that alternator mounts, there would be no way to ever change it if it went bad. So we gotta take it all back out and refigure something on the alternator. I hope we don't have to change the whole front setup to something else, and definitely want to try to stay with a serpentine setup, but we're gonna have to modify this one. But this is we thought it was the last time it was going in there, but it's not. This is the part of the, I guess if it was easy, everybody would do it. But anyway, we're gonna take it back out and look at the alternator and see if we can figure out something on that to fix it. I think if we get it figured out, if we can get it figured out with this setup, I'd love to, because everything else seems to fit pretty nice. But oh well. All right, here's where our problem was. The alternator goes in here like this, and it doesn't have much pivot. There's no adjustment on these on the newer style alternators with the serpentine. All your tension is with this tensioner here, so you don't have the pivot. But what the problem is when we were putting it in the van, the dog box was hitting it about right here. So if we could pivot the alternator down, and that's what we may try to do, I think that would give it enough to get it over far enough to where it would clear. But even if we got it in there like this, with that dog box coming here, you couldn't change the alternator because there's no way to pivot over to get it out. So I think what we're gonna try to do is take the whole front cover, the whole front plate back off, and cut this mount and try to move the alternator over and see if that'll work and give us the clearance. If that don't work, we're just gonna have to go back to the and start all over again. You know, we were trying to avoid having to buy that high dollar serpentine setups that they have, but I think we may be able to figure it out. But I'm gonna tell you, that's the way this one has been for us. It's bit us every time. You have some that just goes so smooth, and then there's that one that just every time you turn around, everything just is biting you like this. And that's the way this van has been. So we're gonna get it. We're determined. We're gonna get this thing figured out and get it done. But anyway, we're gonna take all this off. We're gonna try that and see if that works. If not, we're gonna go back to the got something figured out. I cut this section out here because I got to looking at it. Of course, let's see. This was.
How was that piece?
It was in there.
It's in there somewhere.
This piece was. Yeah. Okay. Something like that. And what it was doing, the alternator couldn't fold over. Well, the wall that we were hitting on the van runs about right here, and that's where the alternator was. So I got to looking. I figured if we could get all this out of the way and keep this same mounting point and pivot it, that would be enough to get it out of the way. I think it did, because measure. It will it will pivot all the way down now. So we're way out of the way. And what I did, there's enough meat right here. So I just drilled a hole here to line up with that other hole. Because like I said, these alternators don't have an adjustment. They just bolt solid. And I re-tapped the hole in the alternator to a 5/16 instead of metric. So what we'll do is we'll cut a spacer sleeve to put here, or we'll even weld one on, and then that way the alternator is still mounted at the same spot here. We know we're good back and forth. We're pushed over. We're going to clear everything and won't have any issue now. So I think that'll be fine. It'll work. We just got to find the right length belt now, because it'll change the belt to be a shorter belt. But it was actually a little bit easier modification than what I was thinking. It was still aggravating to have to take everything off and get it over there and cut it with the plasma cutter and grind it down, but wasn't a lot of fabrication had to go into it. We were able to use a lot of the original mounting points, or one of the original mounting points. So I think we'll be all right now. All right, we got it on there. It's good and solid. I can't move it around. It's not going anywhere, so I think we're good. And if you look, it was that alternator from the front coming right here.
One? Okay, sorry.
Yeah, if you imagine this, it was laid over about like that.
Right.
So we were able to get it over here. Everything's
Tuck it
clear
in.
and it's in line. It's good and solid, so I think we're good to go. We're gonna go back one more time. Hopefully the last one. Okay, I'm gonna try. If it sounds like I'm yelling, I'm just trying to talk over these fans. We don't want to cut them off, but if you can look up in there, you can see the alternator, how much room we've got now.
Oh yeah.
Let me go up. I'll go up in the van again and show you. Remember how it was before. If I can do it without falling. Okay, now you can see the alternator before was up against this. We couldn't even get the motor all the way up because the alternator was there. So it all worked out good. I think we may end up lowering the motor just a hair now that we've got the fan in there. The fan is up a little high, which we thought maybe it might. So we may put some spacers in there and lower the motor just about maybe an inch, which will be fine. We were actually fixed it so in anticipation if we had to do that. So, but yeah, alternator's good to go now. All right, we are about to wrap it up today. It's been a hot day. Ivan has been over here working on the Honcho, working on the new wiring harness. I don't know if you can see it, got the fuse panel mounted, working at the cargo light and the cab light, everything under the dash right now. It's got the stuff run through the firewall, so you can start working on the headlights and all that, and running the stuff for the tail lights. Me and Seth have been working on the 67. I think we have finally got it, the motor in for the final time. The motor, transmission, transfer case is all in there. We've got to still work out something on the steering. I think we've about got it figured out. We had to lower the motor, which we knew we might have to do that. We didn't know for sure. So what we did is we made these spacers in between the factory mount, because we took the factory cross member that the 6-cylinder had and adapted it to the V8. I think y'all saw a video of that before, but we knew we were going to be close on the fan with that top neck on the radiator hose, so we were So we thought we would have to lower the motor. So we did. We lowered it. We had this solid bar stock. So we made these 1-inch lowering blocks to lower the engine. It still's got the fan right where it needs to be in the radiator. And we couldn't lower it anymore in the cross member because we were already so close to the oil pan here. So we were as low as we could go there. So that's why we had to lower it with the blocks that we made here. But it's all good. Ready to go. We feel good about it. I don't think we're going to have to pull it back out of it again. So that's it. It's been, I think it was like 95 today. Tomorrow's Friday. It's supposed to be 99 here. So if we get any work done, it's going to be slow going, a lot of water drinking. But that's a wrap for the day. And remember, always like, share, and subscribe. Check out our buddies at OK Recycling down in Burlington. If you need any industrial stuff, need to buy any industrial stuff, if you got some stuff you want to buy, they got their eBay store. Check that out. Our buddies at Renegade Tees and Renegade Supplies, they're the ones that made our shirts here. We've got our new shirts too on the website. Check those out. Mark and Amy up there in West Jefferson are awesome. Check out our buddy Matt at Mattco Metals. Check him out on YouTube at Mattco Mafia. And that's it. We'll keep doing what we're doing. Y'all keep doing what y'all doing.
You good in there?
How about some grub?
I don't think so, bud.
Why not? Who are you?
You can't do the time, don't do the crime.
I'm fine with crime. I just need some grub. Starving. Well. No grub.